Hello there. Today, I thought we'd talk about light cavalry because there's a bit. So, I mean, basically, the question is: are Sisters of the Thorn really that bad now that they only get a random spell rather than they were definitely S tier before because they could choose well, I mean, the two that you go for is Pillar of Fire or Plague of Rust. Plague of Rust. I mean, the thing is with so what's happened in the recent FAQ, Sisters of the Thorn, they've been downgraded so that they have a randomly selected spell. In the actual book, they were allowed to choose one particular spell from elementalism or battle magic, and they were able to cast that at a bound level as a bound spell, so no miscasts. But they were able to cast that as a bound spell with a power level normally of 2. You get power level 1 if you've got a banner, and a power level 2 if you've got a standard champion as well. I think it was that. Yeah, I think it was the standard and the champion. So bound power level 2. Plague of Rust is essentially a 21-inch range spell that reduces a unit's armor value by 2, which is really, really good for Wood Elves because they've got a relatively cheap way of getting loads of poisoned attacks. So, poisoned attacks with AP2 is really rather good. The problem is that Wood Elves aren't really that high in the meta. It's not like they're not being taken very frequently either. They're being taken quite frequently. So, Games Workshop nerfing Wood Elves as a whole is pretty nasty, actually. I don't agree with it at all, to be honest. I think they were absolutely fine before. I mean, the one, I mean, they need to sort out Pegasus Knights, and they need to sort out Tomb Kings in general, really, because they're running away with it almost. But anyway, that's another. Wood Elves didn't really need a nerf, to be honest. They're towards the top of the meta at the moment, but they're not the best. But anyway, I thought we'd have a look at light cavalry and see whether things have changed. Now, the first thing I'm going to do with light cavalry is I'm just going to ignore Pistoliers and as they exist, because in the latest Arcane Journal we have these Empire Road Wardens. So first off, let's have a look at, is it that? It is that. Let's have a look at the difference between Pistolier and Empire Road Wardens. So because this is on a PDF, I can zoom in, which is really helpful, whereas because this is in a shitty EPUB thing, I can't, so apologies. Anyway, Empire Road Wardens, you can take one unit as a special choice per 1,000 points in a Grand Army. I think you can also take them you can't take them in Knightly Orders, but you can take them in Nuln as a rare. Yes, rare. So there's no limitation. Well, you can take 3 units of them, but you wouldn't because they're competing with Hellblasters and Steam Tanks and stuff. So you're probably not gonna. And you can take Outriders in Nuln anyway, and Outriders are well, are they better? I mean, we'll have a look at that. We'll do a bit of a comparison. Anyway, so Empire Road Wardens and Pistoliers. So Pistoliers, all in fact, we'll include Outriders in this, which is the best, basically. So Outriders they're all movement 8. They're all light cavalry. They're all Outriders are unit strength 4 up. Pistoliers are 5. Road Wardens are 4, so you only need 4 Road Wardens to make a unit. So they're arguably slightly better for MSUing. Pistoliers are 16 points each. And they have Fire and Flee. They're fast cavalry, which means they get a free and open order. Which means fast cavalry means if they march 16 inches, they get a free 90-degree pivot from the open order thing. Remember, open order units get to move normally and they get a 90-degree pivot. Fast cavalry means you can march and do that. So that's pretty good. They've got a brace of pistols, and I think pistols have got... I think pistols have got quick shot, haven't they? I think they have. I just need somebody with a bloody pistol. He can take a pistol, can't he? No, of course he can't. Oh, that's not electal. Electal. He can take a pistol. Here we go. Brace of pistols. There we go. Oh, it's quick shot, so it doesn't have move and shoot. Okay. So Pistoliers can't march and shoot then. Okay. And the main downside of Pistoliers is this impetuous rule here. You can give them Vanguard. The veteran can, who's an extra 8 points, can have a grenade launching blunderbuss, which is pretty cool. Outriders, on the other hand, are 3 points more. They have an extra ballistic skill and they have an extra pip of leadership, which for 3 points is, massively worth the upgrade. They've got repeater handguns rather than a brace of pistols, which, repeater handguns... why didn't I just add a bloody engineer? There you'll have all the weapons. So repeater handguns, multiple shot 3. They're ponderous, armor bane 1. But basically, if you just got an MSU unit of outriders, that's essentially 12 handgun shots at effectively ballistic skill 3, and they're much more mobile. So it's like a really mobile unit of 12 handgunners, which is pretty good because they've got essentially the same handgun profile. The reason it's like 12 because normal handgunners have got BS3. These have got BS4 but multiple shot 3. So multiple shot is -1 to hit. So that's effectively the same as BS3. So from a pure cost basis, each of these is basically worth probably 2 handgunners. Obviously, 3 handgunners has got 3 wounds and this has only got 1, so these die quicker. But in terms of output, it's like 12 handgunners, which is pretty good. Considering handgunners are like 10 points. And not as quick. They've got Vanguard built in. So, in fact, Pistoliers have to pay extra for Vanguard, don't they? So, Pistoliers with Vanguard are 18 points. Whereas Outriders, you're paying an extra point for leadership, ballistic skill. They're also open order, fast cavalry. They've also got fire and Outriders also got fire and flee. They're also able to skirmish. So Outriders are massively the superior choice between Outriders and Pistoliers. However, they've introduced Empire Road Wardens, which are 18 points. 18 points. They've got Vanguard built in. So not only do they have an extra pip of leadership, extra ballistic skill, and Vanguard built in. Remember, Pistoliers are 18 points with Vanguard. Road Wardens are... So they cost the same, right? They cost the same. Absolutely mental. They can replace they come with crossbows as standard, which are pretty decent weapons, but they can replace them with a brace of pistols, if they want. And then they can get ambushes as a special rule and scouts. These Empire Road Wardens are basically what Pistoliers were supposed to be, and I think they're freaking fantastic. They can also, and this is really important, they can also have feigned flight. So fire and flee means you can declare fire and flee as a charge reaction, which means you get to essentially stand and shoot, and then you make a flee move. Feigned flight means you automatically rally at the end of that move. The problem with the other units is that, essentially your leadership 8 to rally, because you can buy a musician, so you get +1 to rally. So your leadership 8 to rally with all these units if they've got a champion. Pistoliers 7, I think. Unless they've got a champion, in which case they're 8. Yeah. So that's not massively reliable. That's like rolling a 3 up. So you can declare your fire and flee, but then you don't. There's more or less a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to fail to rally. Whereas Road Wardens, for an extra 2 points, you can make them 20 points and 21 points, and you've got all those rules built in. Now that is quite a bit more expensive than your outriders, but the captain can't have a grenade launching blunderbuss, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. Brace of pistols is fine. The captain's brace of pistols is an extra point on top because he's got ballistic skill 5. But again, brace of pistols on these, is pretty good. Is pretty good because. This is just a list I'm playing around with. It's not really getting anywhere. Yeah, so brace of pistols, 12-inch range, multiple shot, quick shot. They get an extra attack in combat as well. I mean, they're only weapon skill 3, strength 3, no AP. But still, the pistol profile is pretty good. And also, like, they can stand and shoot regardless of distance because the range doesn't matter when you're declaring stand and shoot. So, I really like... Now, the real question is, are Empire Road Wardens better than Outriders? That's the real question, really, isn't it? Because Road Wardens are an extra 2 points, and essentially they're this with feigned flight and a brace of pistols instead of repeater handguns, and they don't get the grenade launching blunderbuss. And to me, the answer to that question is it depends. If you're going Empire Grand Army, I think, in my opinion, Road Wardens are better because they've got the feigned flight. You can upgrade them to ambushers, which might be really super useful for them to come on like later on in the day and have a few pot shots at like some lone characters or kill off some war machines. And especially for those armies where they kind of leave their wizards loitering behind the back line, a load of like 10 pistol shots from these could conceivably kill a wizard. So especially if you have 2 units. So ambushers might be really useful. You can scout with them as well. You're getting to like 23 points per model, so you're getting quite expensive if you're giving them all the upgrades. But still, it might be worthwhile giving them all the upgrades, especially if you're just going to take a couple of little units of like 4 of them, just to like, or maybe like a couple of units of 5, or maybe you want 12, 3 units of 4 or whatever. Then it might be worthwhile upgrading them all. So, well, you can't have 3 units, sorry, in a Grand Army. Now, the reason it depends is because in Nuln, obviously, Outriders are better. Firstly, because you can take 1 unit of Outriders per 1,000 points in your core, so you can pay your core tax with them, which is freaking fantastic. Plus, also, they've got where is it? They're veteran Outriders in Nuln, which means they're not subject to Ponderous, which means they're only -1 to hit when they've moved. Ponderous means if you move and then shoot, you're -2 to hit instead of -1. Whereas they lose the ponderous rule, which means they're only -1 to hit when they move and shoot, which is basically +1 to hit because you're probably going to be moving. So Outriders, because of those 2 rules, are much better within Nuln, but I think in a Grand Army, you're probably going to be looking at Road Wardens rather than Outriders. So it's a really interesting conundrum in terms of like light cavalry for Empire now. There's lots of options, and it's not immediately apparent which one's the best option. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours down below. So that's the new Empire cavalry. Does it mean I upgrade them from being B tier? Because what else? What we've also got in B tier is we've got like Chaos Hounds. We've got, because they're so cheap and they're pretty much an auto include, but they don't really do anything other than get in the way. We've got the gyro bomber in there. We've got skeleton horse archers, which are, you know, okay. This is like, so these are like, you know, absolutely excellent. These are, you know, really very good. You'd probably include one. B is, yeah, they're okay. Like, it's not going to hurt you by including them. C is, they're, yeah, they're all right. Like, if it's your only option for like cavalry, and D is just like, you know, rubbish. Don't take. I appear to have Kemri down there as well. Oh, that's the Kemri. That's to represent the light cavalry with spears, who are total gash. Yeah, you'd always take them with bows. I don't know why you wouldn't. Because you take them with bows and you stick some chariots behind, which reminds me I need to build my chariots. And then what are they? Are they Illyrian Reavers? I think they're Illyrian Reavers, which I just think are. They're probably. I probably want to move them up to C tier because they're the only light cavalry option that you have. Now, Pistoliers I've got here in C tier. I think Pistoliers are just not going to be taken ever now that we've got Road Wardens, right? You're just never going to see them. So these are now going to represent Road Wardens because that's what they're going to look like. And I think you're not always going to include them in your army. I think that's the thing. Like these things, you know, your scout gyrocopter or your gyrocopter, you know, and dwarves pretty much should always have some kind of gyrocopter support because it's the only quick thing you've got. And I think it's the only thing with swift stride you've got, so it's the only thing that's useful for like running down fleeing troops. You know, the Bretonnians, squires. No, they're not called squires, are they? Whatever their light cavalry are called, I can't remember. They're really, really good. You've got Doomfire warp blocks, which I think are really good. I know opinions differ on that. In fact, let's have a quick look at those because I don't think we've not really looked at those for a while. I've not really looked at Dark Elves for a while. Where are they? Doomfire warlocks. Yeah, so they're 22 points. They're elite. They're quite expensive. They come with just hand weapons, so that doesn't seem great. They don't. Considering they're the only unit that really uses hand weapons, they don't come with the murderous rule, so they don't get to reroll ones on, which you'd have thought would be what anyway. They're strength 4, which is weirdly strong for this kind of unit. They've got high initiative, obviously, because they're elves. So they're initiative 6 because they've got elven reflexes in the first round of combat, which is pretty decent. So they're pretty much always striking first, but only with hand weapons. They've got fast cavalry. They hate high elves, obviously. They're open order. They've got poison attacks, which, you know, makes them okay. And they've got swift stride. Now, they've also got cursed coven, so they're a bit like sisters. Knows a single spell chosen by their controlling player. So this hasn't been errated from either dark magic or demonology. And if it's got now rather than the wood elf, and we'll look at these in a second actually, because this there's a reason I'm talking about Doomfire warlocks first because they're very similar to sisters. But if this is a unit strength of 10 or more, so they've the unit strength like 2 each. And includes a master, it's bound level 2. So you need 5 of them with a master. Now, I don't think this has been errated, so it only applies to the unit strength of the models in the unit. So I think if you join a character in with this unit, their unit strength also counts. Maybe, I'm not sure. Pardon me. If it's got a master, it's bound level 1. Otherwise, bounds with power level 0. Now, demonology and dark magic. Are they really worth? It's about here, isn't it? Where's magic gone? I'm sure it was around about there. It is. So, are there any that you would automatically tick? Battle Lust, probably. Frenzy and Hatred until the end of this turn. So it's the player turn, not the battle round. The battle round is both players' turn, whereas the turn means just your turn. So until your turn. But that's also quite useful because then Frenzy disappears. So you get +1 attack and you get to reroll all your hits, which actually for the unit itself is pretty useful because it's got poison attacks, you see. So you get to reroll and try and spike all those 6s, and you get an extra attack each. So a unit of 5, that would be 10, 11 attacks. So that's 2 6s, and then you can reroll. You only get to reroll misses with Hatred, don't you? But yeah, that'll be like three or four auto wounds. So that's pretty useful. But of course, that's a really good boost spell for any unit, pretty much. Word of Pain is pretty nasty because you can target an enemy unit engaged in combat as well. So you can hex somebody to be -1 strength and toughness. Now that's, particularly effective. So imagine your Lord on a dragon has engaged the nasty, horrible Chaos Lord on a dragon, all of which is now down 1 strength and 1 toughness. Cast on a 10, so you need to roll an 8 to get it off. So maybe not that. Whereas Battle Lust, you need a 7 with the bound spell 2. So that's pretty good. You're looking for low cast values that are reasonably effective. But other than that, there's not a lot really. Phantasmagoria's situational and quite cool. Because yeah, and the signature spell is alright. It's like a stone thrower that's strength 3 AP 2, which actually it will be cast on a 6, so spamming that might be reasonably effective, but it's really only for killing troops. And then Demonology's above it, isn't it? Idiot. So Demonology, the summoning's pretty good. 2d6 strength 4 AP 1. It's like a better fireball. Well, I say a better fireball. It doesn't have flaming, so yeah, fireball is this effective against undead because obviously they've got a 6-up ward. So AP 1 -1 to the armor save is the same as having a 6-up regen against shooting. Now, Steed of Shadows, I mean, that's cast on so being able to buff up your infantry and give them fly 12 is pretty useful if you've got a drilled unit and you've got maybe you've got a wizard with battle magic, so you can make them do another move later on as well. So you can make them, especially if you've got a drilled unit, you could basically move that. How far is that? 60 inches across a table, which is pretty weird. Demonic Vessel really only applies to them. What's the one? This one's pretty good. +1 movement, toughness, and initiative. But that's only until the end of the turn, of course. The Vortex is rubbish. Gathering Darkness is a pretty nasty hex. And it's 12-inch range. So it's quite short range, but you -2 initiative, -2 leadership, and can't use Inspiring Presence. And also may target an enemy unit engaged in combat. So if you've got a unit that you want to break, that could be pretty decent. And then Demonic Familiars. I mean, you probably... Maybe you go for that. But you see what I mean? There's no, and this is why being able to choose your spells from these two laws isn't as good, and I hope they don't do the same thing so it's random, because there are some shockingly bad spells in Demonology and in Dark Magic. So there's nothing that stands out as being 100% you would take that or that, if that makes sense. Steed of Shadows is probably the best spell in Demonology, but then again you need to build your army list to take advantage of it. Demonic Familiars is pretty good, I guess, because you can cast that. It's cast on a 6 if you got bounce level 2. 2d6 strength 2, no armor saves. So, 2d6 rolls of trying to roll a 6. But no armor save is pretty tasty. And also, obviously, that's pretty good against Bretonnians and stuff like that, because most of them are toughness 3. So, 7, you might kill 2 or 3, whatever. So there are some spells. I'd probably go Word of Pain, to be honest. Although that high cast value turns me off it a little bit. Maybe Battle Lust. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make here is it's quite difficult to pick a spell. And then they've got Dark Runes. They've got a 5 at ward save against non-magical attacks. So only non-magical. So a magic missile will wipe out this unit because they've got no armor. Right? But they add utility. They allow you to be an extra mini caster. 5 of them is 116 points to get a little mobile mini caster that can cast a spell that you might use. So I don't think you're going to auto. I think I've put them in the wrong tier. I think they're good, but you need to build your list to suit them. Marauder Horsemen, Razor Gores, and Demonettes on Seekers. I'd leave them all up there. They're all really good. Now, they're still, I think, they are the best light cavalry in the game. In fact, I'm going to move up the Bretonnian light cavalry, and I shall show you why, because I don't know why people don't take them more often. Anybody who's Bretonnian, please do let me know, because I can't for the life of me work out why you wouldn't. Mounted Yeoman, right? 13 points, so cost bugger all compared to whatever. Remember what we've been seeing light cavalry wise is around about 20 points per model. These are 13. You can give them feigned flight, which makes them 15. Which you probably need to do with their leadership being terrible. You can upgrade one to a musician. You can give them one a standard bearer, which you can do because they're peasants, so you don't give away victory points when they lose their banner. So you might as well give them their extra combat res because they might use it. They've got cavalry spears and short bows, so they're not great. You can give them light armor and shields as well, so they go up to 16 points. Give them feigned flight, they're up to 18. They haven't got a great stat line, but what they do have is feigned flight. Which means you can fire and flee, and so you can bait out frenzied units so that your other cavalry can charge them. And that's really all you want them to do. You don't really need light armor and shields, to be honest. Yeah. You'd probably take a musician anyway, but open order peasantry. And look, they've got reserve move as well, which means they get to move at the end of the shooting phase again. It's just as long as... I think reserve move means as long as you haven't marched, doesn't it? I think. I'm not sure. Move. Unless it charged, marched, or fled. Yeah. So, they get to move, do a shoot, and then move again. And they got swift stride, and they can skirmish, and they're open order, and they are fast cavalry. So, you can do... Can you march with your... I cannot march, okay. So a unit with a reserve move cannot march. So you can... But anyway, you can move, you get a free pivot, and then you can shoot at something, then move again and get another free pivot. So they're really, really flexible, and for 15 points each, they're an absolute steal. So I think they're S tier because they do the work. Chaos Dwarves, where are they? There we go. So look, again, cheap, 12 points, but then again they've got fast cavalry. You can give them feign flight, you can give them reserve move, which gets them up to 15 points, which is still it's still cheaper than Pistoliers and stuff. Remember, you can give them short bows, which you probably would do. But then they've got all the cool rules. They've also got backstab and evasive, which is pretty good. And they've got skirmishes and swift stride and fast cav and fire and flee. So you give them all the rules. They go from 12, 14, 15, 16 points a model. And they have all the rules. Plus they have backstab, which I think is that extra AP if you're charging somebody in the back or something? I can't remember off the top of my head. If you're engaged in enemies' units, flank or rear, you can re-roll failed rolls to hit. So, you know, they're not amazingly effective, but, you know, for they can take cavalry spears as well. And cavalry spears is, I think, +1 strength and AP on the charge. So they got strength 4, AP 1 on the charge, which means, like, as a little unit to, like, charge somebody in the rear or flank of a big unit that's, you know, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So they're absolutely excellent from a light cavalry perspective because they're so cheap and they do all the work. So yeah, they're definitely up there. Now, here's the big question, and let's have a look at what the point of this video is supposed to be. Half an hour in, I'll finally get around to it. Let's have a look at the poor old sisters. So I guess you've got to consider like all light cavalry. Now, Glade Riders, I need to upgrade Glade Riders, don't I? Or have I done that already? Can I zoom? Oh, I can zoom in. Oh, that's better. Oh, excellent. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Yeah, Centaurs are more or less trash. Yeah, I put Glade Riders there. Yeah, I think actually Glade Riders go A tier now for me. Because something I didn't consider last time I did this list was the fact that they are core. So actually as a core choice, they're really, really good. Because, you know, you can give them all the stuff. You can give them reserve move again. So they've got fast cavalry, fire and flee, all the fast cavalry type stuff. But you can give them drilled. I don't know why you do that, but you can give them drilled if you want. You can make them ambushers as well. And then you can give them a magic standard, so they can take all these magic bows. You can make them really expensive, but you can also make them pretty good. The problem is, like, their survivability. Because what armor have they got? Look, what armor have they got? Nothing. They've got absolutely nothing. So they have no armor save. It's just... don't even have light armor. Like... Toughness 3, no armor. I mean, like a stiff breeze blows them over. There's no survivability, but there is quite a bit of output. Do they have evasive as well? You can't even pay for that. Maybe they come down again. I forgot about the no armor. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's really difficult. Like, Wood Elves are really difficult for me to assess because my normal playstyle is big bricks of stuff. Like either, you know, Chaos Warriors or, you know, Cavalry or Ogres. I like big blocks of meaty chaps to... anyway. And also 18 points. They're around the normal price for light cavalry. I think I've put Wild Riders in heavy cavalry, haven't I? And I really shouldn't because they're not heavy at all. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to bring heavy cavalry into this. Hold on. Did I put them in here? What are they called? Wild Riders. There. So, Wild Riders. Where am I going to put them? So, 27 points. They are the most expensive, I think, out of everything on that list. They do have Frenzy. They've got hunting spears, which are basically sort of lances, sort of. They're strength 4 already, so they're strength 5 AP2. Armor Bane 1 on the charge, so they're a bit like strength 3 with lances, but they're not. They've got counter charge, which is great. They've got fast cavalry, they cause fear, they're frenzied. They've got furious charge as well. So, they've got 3 attacks on the charge, which is a lot for, they do a lot of output. They've got talismanic tattoos, which is a 6-up ward, which is fine. They've got a 6-up save and a 6-up ward. So, again, toughness 3, stiff breeze kills them. They do have move through cover. I wish they changed the rule for move through cover so that it changes. So if you make a charge and you're going through terrain, you roll 2d6 and you take the lowest result rather than the highest for your charge result, right? Move through cover, rules as written, just allow you to ignore, and you're also -1 to move. Move through cover allows you to ignore the -1 to move, which, is not so good. And additionally, I know there's something about dangerous terrain tests, so they can reroll 1s for dangerous terrain checks. So, but I wish it would allow you to charge reliably through cover. But hey, so they are very expensive. 5 of them is. I can give them shields. Give them a 5-up save. Great. So 5 of them would be probably 200 and something points. So it's a pretty meaty investment. They will delete the thing that you get them into combat with. The problem is you've got to get them into combat, and anybody with a shooting army is going to prioritise these guys. So they're probably not going to live to get to combat. But they are really, really good when they get there. They're quite scary. I'm going to put them there. They're situational. You've got to build your list to use them properly. Sisters. They were an auto-include, definitely best of the light cavalry. They're not anymore, I don't think. They're not anymore. Or are they? I don't know. Let's answer that question. So 24 points is expensive. The unit of 5 or more. So you're looking at probably about 150 points for a unit of them. Compared with the other units, which are around about 100 points for a unit of 5, these are 50% more. So they're quite expensive. Now, they've got a 4-up ward save against any wounds suffered, this is fantastic. This is they're basically Wood Elves' version of heavy cavalry because of this. Because they've got a 4-up save, which nothing else has. I think it's the best armor save in the army, isn't it? I'm not even certain that. The Wood Elf Dragon counts as having full plate. The tree men also count as having full plate. So it is equivalent to the best armor save in the faction. So from a survivability perspective, they are a bit more survivable. They've also got Blackbriar Javelins, which are move and shoot and quick shot, which is move and shoot is march and shoot, if you recall. So they can move 16 inches. They've got fast cavalry, so they can move 16 inches, get a free pivot, and then can shoot with these strength 3, AP 1, with BS 5 and 6. So you're probably only -1 for long range, because you're not going to be -1 for moving. You're not going to be... Yes, you're probably -1 for long range, so you're hitting on 3s. So their missile weapons are pretty decent. They do have fire and flee. They do have poisoned attacks on everything, obviously, which is pretty decent. And of course, they've got this deep wood cover rule. It used to be chosen by the controlling player, and now it's randomized, and that's the thing that's changed. So when it was chosen by the controlling player, from battle magic or elementalism, they were absolute 100% fire. But now, not so much, because there are some stinkers in battle magic and elementalism that you maybe wouldn't want to use. So let's have a look. This is elementalism. The signature spell, i.e. the one that you can choose, is a debuff, -1 movement and initiative, and cancels out hexes. Pretty rubbish. Flaming Sword as an assailment is not great. It's alright. Plague of Rust, that's the one that you choose. I've talked about that already. Summon Elemental Spirit is... Oh, it's alright, but it's a vortex that moves randomly, so, you know, whatever. Earthen Ramparts is... is okay, but like for Wood Elves, not being able to march or charge with the unit can be kind of limiting, but could be quite effective. Like if you've got a unit that's in some woods that's going to receive a charge, or is probably going to receive a charge next turn, you know, could be useful. Wind Blast is pretty good because it's got a decent range, decent amount of hits, decent strength, decent AP, and it makes a unit give ground so you can move your opponent around with it, so it's pretty good. And Travel Mystical Pathway, you know, that's okay, but bound 2/10 is not massively reliable. Neither's Earthen Ramparts really, so you know there's not really that many good choices for like bound 2, and that was Elementalism, and Battle Magic's before that, isn't it? I think Battle Magic's the first one, isn't it? Yep. Hammer Hand, actually this is the one that you can choose. If you're going to use it as a combat unit, as your actual heavy cavalry, to be fair, this one's not a bad one to pick. So it's not like they're terrible, because 2d3, strength 4, AP 2. So you're going to roll like 4 hits. Like, so if you're charging like they're good cannon hunters, basically. I mean, Fireball's great. Lots of, you know, reasonable strength hits. Curse of Arrow Attraction for Wood Elves, that's pretty decent. Pillar of Fire is outstanding. Arcane Urgency is actually alright, but casting value 10, probably not going to get it off. Oaken Shield is an absolute waste because you've already got a 4 at ward. And Curse of Cowardly Flight, you can move your enemy around. So, you know, Battle Magic, actually, I said there's some real stinkers. There isn't really, is there? There's only really Arcane Urgency, and that's because it's so hard to cast. And Oaken Shield, but then again, you can swap it for Hammer Hand. So, you know, realistically, are they as a unit much worse? Because you've got to take... I guess they're just changing their battlefield role, because now they're almost like Wood Elf heavy cavalry that can take this to do additional damage. I say heavy cavalry. They're not really heavy cavalry, are they? Because they're not really thump or grind. They're definitely moving down, but I still think A tier. I still think they're pretty decent. They've got decent options. They've got game. You know, they can do quite a bit. You know, they can do fire and flee. They don't have feigned flight, which is a slight downside. But leadership 9 and a musician means you need to 10, obviously. So, you know, I think they're still really good. And I think people saying that they've been totally nerfed, you know, are misrepresenting how good they were beforehand. I don't think though that this needed to change. Like, I don't think that needed to change at all. But it's just my opinion. I don't think they were broken. I think the problem that they fixed here is the problem of the Pillar of Fire, because Pillar of Fire is, so if you've got 3 units of sisters, right, you can get 3 of these down, right, and doing like 9 plus 3d3 strength 3 hits AP 2 on a unit is like, it's like doing 15 strength 3 hits on something. Basically, it's just horrendous. It's the fact that it moves in D6 direction of caster's choosing. I mean, it's good enough without, you know, without the fact that you know, I don't know. I think vortices in general need a bit of a rules change. I mean, I think if you're within range of it, you get to control it, and if you're not, then you don't. So if you're within range of it, then it gives your opponent an opportunity to essentially dispel them. And I think as well you need to be within range of the vortex to attempt to dispel it, rather than within range of the wizard controlling it. In my opinion. In actual fact, I don't like increasing complexity, but I do think we do need like a distinction between like bound vortices and unbound vortices. So something like oh no, it's the it's is it the wood elf? Yeah, this one. This is like an unbound vortex, so it just kind of sits there. Like, I think there needs to be some kind of rules. I don't know. I don't exactly know what I do. But the problem that they fixed by making them not choose a spell is the problem that the Pillar of Fire is too good. Um, it's too good. Well, it's not too good if you've just got one of them. It's too good if you can spam it. Like, if you've got three, within a Wood Elf list, conceivably you could have four of them previously, because you could have three from the Sisters and one from your level 4 Wizard, right? So you could have four Pillars of Fire, like, rocking around the table, which is, basically 20 Strength 3, AP 2 hits over a target in a turn. It's just too much. That's too much. It's the stackability of Pillar of Fire that's too much. It's a bit like in Necromancy, where you can, again, stacking is the problem, where you can Spirit Leech for -2 leadership, and you can, and you can stack this as well. So essentially, each one of these that's within, because it's not a hex, so you can't stack hexes, but you can stack vortices, right? So you can put like several of these, like 2 or 3 of these vortices, like near a target, so you can get something down to like -5 leadership relatively easily. And it's that stackability that's the problem. That's always the problem in any kind of war game or role playing game or fantasy, is when you can like stack similar effects that you can really lean into a particular build and do something particularly nasty. So I still think they're good. I still think they're better than Wild Riders. You'd still take them over Wild Riders, wouldn't you? Because they've got more. They've got more game. They've got more. There's more things that they can do. Wild Riders, it's just a kind of a rush to get them into combat and kill something before they die, which is great because that kind of fits the lore. That's exactly what you want them to do. But Sisters, they've got more play. So yeah, I don't think it's a massive nerf. I still think they're really good. They're probably the bottom of A tier, but yeah, cool. So that's my light cavalry tier thing. I don't think there's much else to discuss really, apart from maybe the new sort of light cavalry in this book, which I apologise I can't zoom into. Huscarls, who aren't light cavalry. They are light cavalry, but they're not, because they don't have all the light cavalry stuff. I'll explain. They've got Furious Charge, which is pretty good. They're basically marauder horsemen, but they can take heavy armour. So you can put them in heavy armour and shields. You can't bard them, so they end up with a 4-up save, which is alright. They get cavalry spears. You can give them flails, which of course you would. You can give them throwing axes as well. You can give them a Mark of Chaos. You can give them drilled. And you can upgrade them quite nicely. You can give them a magic banner. The champion can take a magic item. So yeah, I mean they're pretty much just upgraded marauder horsemen. but they don't have like fast cavalry, and they've got close order instead. So, you know, they're just sort of like upgraded but less maneuverable marauder horsemen. And to me, that's actually a bit of a problem. I mean, they are. So, what's the use case for them? I suppose is the, and it's because in Wolves of the Sea, I'm not sure. Yeah, you're not allowed. You're not allowed Chaos Knights in Wolves of the Sea. I don't think. Warriors, Chariots, Skin Wolves, Huscarls, and Spawn. Yeah. So you're not allowed Chaos Knights. Not even rare. No, not even rare. So you're not allowed Chaos Knights. So these are like your version of Chaos Knights for Wolves of the Sea. So that's kind of what they're doing. They're replacing the heavy cavalry with something that's nearly heavy cavalry, but still is technically light cavalry. Does that actually make any difference in terms of rules? You need one more model per rank. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, only the rider can attack, blah blah blah, that's the split profile rule. Heavy cavalry. Same. So that's literally the only difference is heavy cavalry only need 4 models to form a rank. Okay, fine. So I don't think that's a massive limitation because you're going to have them probably in units of 10 anyway. What was I doing? Yeah, you're going to have them in units of 10 anyway. And I guess the other question is there any real like difference? Oh yeah, they've got toughness 4 as well, which you know is actually really good because normal marauder horsemen only have toughness 3 as far as I can recall. But I'm known for being wrong frequently. Yeah, so they've got an extra. Now, Marauder Horsemen are cheap as chips, like 12 points. You know, they got Fire and Flee. They don't have Feigned Flight, which, you know, again, with a musician, you're rolling an 8, really. But Marauder Horsemen have all the light cavalry stuff. Like, they've got fast cavalry, they've got open order, they've got the ability to take javelins or something, which are quick shot and move and shoot or something. So they've got the ability to be like, you know, really, really flexible. And you can give them flails. Flails are great. So they've got, you know, and they can change their mark as well. So you can give them loads and loads of cool stuff. And they've got Warband, which means they get to reroll charges, which is, you know, pretty good, actually, for 12 points. The rule set that Marauder Horsemen get are amazing. So they're really good light cavalry. These, however, have lost all that flexibility and they haven't really gained. They've given them a pip of toughness, which is good. So I don't see these as being any better. It's just a different battlefield role, basically. So I'm not going to do anything with Marauder Horsemen. I do think Huscarls are very good because like 2 attacks, potentially 3 attacks with flails is really nasty. So you can give them a Mark of Corn, which gives them Frenzy, and they've got Furious Charge. So you give them 3 attacks, Strength 5, AP 2. They're going to slap, you know, as hard as Wild Riders, but for a fraction of the price and with a lot more survivability. So, you know, actually, what is the move on a Wild Rider? 9 for Glade Rider, 8 for Sisters, 9 for Wild Riders. Okay, so the Wild Riders are slightly faster, but like these are going to slap as hard, but nowhere near as, and that's just giving them the Mark of Corn, which puts them up to 20 odd points. So they're probably about the same, but they're a bit more survivable. So, pardon me. I think that's it light cavalry wise. I don't think I'm going to change anything else. I think Razor Gauze are still great. Yeah. So in conclusion, are Sisters of the Thorn, have they been so thoroughly nerfed that nobody's ever going to take them again? No. I still think they're the best cavalry option in the Wood Elf roster. This is my opinion. If you've got a different opinion or if you know anything else, please do comment down below. I'm always happy to be corrected or, have my flaws published on the internet for everybody to see forever. That's great. Yeah, I think I still think they're pretty good. I still think they're A tier because of what they can do. Like cavalry wise, they're not that much more expensive than other light cavalry. Marauders get up there because they've either got a heavy variant in Huscarls that are pretty, they slap hard and they're reasonably survivable, or you've got Marauder horsemen that have most of the cool stuff that light cavalry have, but for dirt cheap. The only thing I'd like to review, because I haven't really looked at the demon list in a while, is I know I said in conclusion, and now I'm not doing in conclusion, am I? Done. Quickly. 9-inch move. They got counter charge, fast cav, open order, poisoned on the thing, skirmishes, swift stride. They've got lots of attacks because they've got 2 attacks each. Piercing claws are great. Piercing claws are great as far as I can recall. Where's the bloody things? Where's the bloody thing? Oh, here we go. Piercing claws, extra attack, armor bane 2, yeah, AP 1. So they're pretty good. And I don't think they're that expensive, are they? 21 points. So they're at the expensive end of light cavalry. However, they are movement 9. They do have all the cool stuff. They do have counter charge, which I don't think many other options have. They don't have any shooting, but still. They do have a mark of Slanesh as well, which gives them +1 to charge, as far as I recall. Increase the maximum possible charge range by 1 and +1 to charge. So they've got a 19-inch threat range from charge, which is, really rather nice. So, yes, they're pretty good. And I think there's something you can do. Oh, no. Okay, so yeah, I still think they're very good. They're very good for doing the fast. Yeah, they are. You're almost always going to include them if you're taking Demons of Zinch, aren't you? Yeah, cool. So I'm pretty happy with that as my tier maker for now. So do I need to zoom out? Oh, okay. I just get a picture, do I? How do I? Normal view? Is that it? That's it now, is it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, in conclusion, I don't think that they've been made much worse, to be honest. I still think they're very good. Sisters are definitely the best option. I think Pistoliers, with the addition of proper Pistoliers now, have been properly upgraded so that they are equivalent of outriders. But again, it's kind of situational, and it does depend. Both of them do depend on building your list around them to an extent. Nuln, you're probably almost always going to go outriders. Road Wardens, possibly for Grand Army, but they do different jobs. Why aren't people taking these more frequently? Is it just because there's Pegasus Knights are so much better that you don't really need these? It's probably that, but they are super, super good. yeah, these are just my opinions. You know, comment down below, see what you think, and like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just trying to pad out the ending bit because I want it to be exactly an hour long. Toodaloo.